ASMR Coffin Radio.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Coffin Radio. I'm Heartthrob Rob, and today we're talking about Dark Side of the Ring, Season 3, Episode 12, The Many Faces of Luna Vachon. A striking villain in the ring, Luna Vachon becomes a groundbreaking physical performer who battles mental illness and addiction while seeking to champion women's wrestling. A great episode here, man, from Dark Side of the Ring about Luna Vachon. I found myself, I was very aware of Luna in the early 90s, 93, 94 is when I kind of came across her in the WWF. I was still a kid then, but she scared the shit out of me even as a young kid. So I was glad that Dark Side of the Ring did this episode on her. And this episode really is more about mental health than anything. It's sad to see the story of Luna, but, it's well documented, so you get to see her progression and everything that happened with her in her life. So it's a very well done episode, but almost heartbreaking, with the things that you learn here about Luna Vachon. I didn't know her life was so tragic the way it was. But you get interviews here from Gangrel, who was her husband for a while, David Heath, that's his real name. Her son, Van Herd. Mick Foley also shows up, Mad Maxine. Her father, who was her stepfather since she was 4 years old. Kim Sachs, and Medusa is also here. But her father was the Butcher Vachon. Her uncle was Mad Dog Vachon, and then she also had her aunt who was a wrestler too. Maybe Vivian or Vivica or something. Vivian, I think it was. But yeah, her father committed suicide actually, and the man, and Mad Dog, or excuse me, Butcher Vachon became her stepfather since she was 4 years old. I did not know that. I thought she was actually, the daughter of him. And to be honest, I thought she was the daughter of Mad Dog Vachon. So I guess I learned something here too as well. But she trains with Moolah, and she's almost raped at 16 years old. But her dad owns this wrestling company as well. And Gangrel says that during their marriage, Luna told him that she was molested or raped by these wrestlers. She's a pretty young girl at the time. So it's sad to see that. I mean, for someone to go through that anyways and still want to become this lifelong dream. She also says that maybe her aunt might have been a little fucking disgusting to her too. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, when you're just taking advantage of people in your own fucking family, it's just disgusting and sad the things that she had to go through at such a young age. And it kind of speaks volumes of those old times in the old wrestling, territories, how things were and how disgusting they were, right? She trains at Moolah's. She joins Florida Championship Wrestling. She comes in at this really cool angle. I mean, they had such great ideas back in the day, where she comes in as a reporter. Kevin Sullivan ends up slapping her as she's trying to break up a fight, and it messes up her mentally, and she becomes, I think it's like Stockholm Syndrome kind of thing. The people that hurt you all of a sudden want to become like them or be on their team. So she kind of gets that, and she goes crazy. And people don't realize this is the early 80s, Rain in Blood by Slayer, and there's now we think of goth and cult shit and Satan worshippers, whatever, that's not really how it is. But back then, that was not known. We didn't know that there was people like that. So when you first start seeing it, that shit was believable. People were scared, oh fuck, So they really worked this angle in Florida. Kevin Sullivan really hit shit on lock. But that's where she starts really doing some drugs. I thought that something that was really sad is her father did not believe her that she said she was raped, which I think is such a fucked up piece of shit thing to do. He's you still can't believe your daughter after the way she is. You still can't believe her, But she starts managing the Blackhearts with Gangrel. That's how she meets him. That's how she ends up marrying him as well. She was actually with the other guy in the tag team, and then Gangrel starts hooking up with her, and that's kind of the end of the team there of the Blackhearts Canadian tag team. But she debuts at WrestleMania 9 for WWF. Huge angle here. You coming in with Shawn Michaels, and you get to fight Sherry Martel, two of the best. But she's really stifled there working from WWF because, at the time, we don't really have a women's roster. It's not the 80s where you got the Rockin' Robins and Wendy Richter's or even Moolah's at the time, right? Even though she was in her twilight of her career. But so she doesn't really have anyone to wrestle against except for Sherry, But at the time, they're just valets. She's the valet for Bam Bam Bigelow. Really has no opponents. But apparently her and Sherry partied pretty hard back in the day. Medusa wants to drop the title to her in Canada, but at the last second, Luna Vachon kind of gets cold feet because she doesn't want to get Medusa fired from this shit anyways, which I think would have been such a cool thing because Luna, all she wanted was to be a wrestler. But when you're, relegated to valet, just the eye candy, it just sucks. When you train, and she's a badass, she's a big girl, she's ready to rock and roll, dude. She can really work. So to see her not be able to get that, it's kind of sad. Drugs get really bad for her. She goes to rehab. She gets fired. She goes to ECW where she has a great match, a steel cage match against Stevie Richards. She pulls that off. Looks great in there. Looks absolutely amazing. Comes back in 1997. That's really where I start really watching her into WWF. But she doesn't want to lose to Sable. But she ends up putting her over at WrestleMania 14. It really does her job to make Sable look good, even though Sable's really not a wrestler at all. And I remember that WrestleMania vividly in the back of my mind. I remember we recorded it and, we watched it a million times. But, she's not really recognized for what she did for putting Sable over. And they give Sable, flowers and congratulate her, and Vince doesn't say anything to her. So she's just in a pissed off mood. Sonny comes over and says something to her like, hey, it's all good, blah, blah. And fucking Luna just beats the shit out of her, and hits her on top of the head, making sure not to mess up Sonny's face or she'd get in trouble. But that's pretty much what it is. After that, she's in that bikini contest. She doesn't want to show herself, and after that, she's pretty much fired because of the things that had happened in and outside of the ring for her in the backstage. And in 2010, she ends up drug overdosing or a little bit of mixing, maybe a little bit too much, and she ends up divorcing Gangrel prior to that because she was just so mad and kind of in a downward spiral, started doing some crazy stuff. But, unfortunately, like I said, she passed away in 2010. But I think her legacy is that, she had that craziness to her, but I guess there's such that soft side behind it, I mean, Mick Foley's in here talking about how great she is. He reads a poem about her that just damn near made me tear up about, people don't always need the butterfly, they need that caterpillar. You should just, enjoy the beauty of the caterpillar sometimes. Just huge, crazy quotes that almost damn near made me cry. Gangrel can really talk in here as well. His things are, about a woman that he once loved and that he was married to. So it hurts to see all that. It's a really, really, really good episode for how crazy and chaotic she is. There's that sweet, gentle side, and it really pulls through. And this is one of the better episodes of Dark Side of the Ring. Very sad, very, very, very sad episode, but very well from everyone over the team. But let me know what you guys think about it, man. What's your favorite Luna moment? Is it from, WrestleMania 19, or 14, or, there's the WrestleMania 14 moment, but there's also the WrestleMania 9 moment. Was it the stuff in ECW? Let me know. We'll talk about it in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, and if you like what you're watching, then hop in the coffin. Follow us on social media, at Coffin Radio. Coffin is spelled with a K. And that's all for today.
ASMR Coffin Radio.